Natasha, does the team feel any pressure at this point? 1-1, but you're coming home for these next two?
No, we don't feel pressure at all. We did what we needed to do in game one, and they did what they needed to do in game two. But they gotta, like we said when we was in Vegas, that they gotta come to our house and they gotta see our fans as well. So right now, like it's no nervous, no nothing. Like we didn't do what we need to do in game two, and we play at home tomorrow, so we're gonna have all the energy that we need right here.
What do you need to do to get into a flow and a rhythm and a pace offensively that wasn't there?
Get it on a miss or make it, still push it no matter what. And that's the thing that we didn't do in game two. We just got to get it and just push it. That's all we had to do.
You and Steph and Bree were three people part of the 2015 team. Just what's it been like going through this again with them and with the same franchise?
It's amazing. Like I said before, it's like a whole 360 all over again. But the outcome gonna be completely different compared to in 2015.
You experienced a game already here this postseason. What atmosphere are you expecting here tomorrow night?
Rocking. The crowd going to be rocking. The building going to be rocking. Like that's one thing that we love about our fans. They bring the energy and they help us out on the court as well with their energy.
How much more physical, if at all, has this series been? That's something both coaches addressed after last game.
Very physical. It's the semifinals. It's going to be bodies getting thrown, tossed across the court. It's playoff. It's going to be super physical. Every team going to amp it up with even more. So the game just been physical since we started.
So it's not different than other times you've been in the playoffs?
No, it's been the same.
Is there more taken away from what you did well in game one or what you didn't do well in game two? What was the conversation been more of a focus on after the trip out there?
Game two, they took away a lot of things. Like us scoring in the paint, they took that away right there. They kind of, they was more aggressive than us in game two, and we knew how Vegas was going to come out in game two, and we didn't really step up to when it was being more physical. We kind of was on our heels a little bit, and that's one thing that we're not going to do starting tomorrow night.
The 22 turnovers in game two, how do you avoid that, and what did they do to cause all that problem for you?
Limited live turnovers. That was they didn't really cause turnovers for us. We were just being loose with the ball a little bit and not executing that on a higher level that we normally do. But game three, we're gonna make sure we take care of the ball and limit them to easy transition points and making sure we just take care of the ball.
They obviously have a good team, but when Asia Wilson gets her points, they win. It's pretty simple. So how much concentrated effort do you have to put on her to try to limit her to being the key to victory?
She's a great player. She's gonna make tough shots and also make tough baskets and stuff like that. But our thing is just being aggressive with her and stuff like that, because we know that she's gonna get hurt no matter what. But just making sure we put multiple bodies on her and just make her score and limit other players, because if she scores all the points, that's fine.
Obviously, Lexi wasn't participating in this portion that we watched. Just how is she doing? Do you anticipate her to be available tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, she's doing better. Today was just a precaution. Didn't want her to take any hits or move, any kind of way that might aggravate it. Travel makes it difficult, certainly, but anticipate her being ready unless there's any sort of setback.
Damaris, same thing. Any update with her? Could she play tomorrow?
No update from Dee.
Steph, do you focus more on the positives from game one or the negatives from game two?
I think a little bit of both. I think that every game requires a different version of ourselves. Every game it's heightened intensity. Every game it's better execution. Every game it's different kind of mentality. And most of our group hasn't been through this before. And I say it all the time. I know there's no substitute for experience, but that's a different kind of experience. Game one was one way for us, and game two was different. We didn't meet their physicality. We didn't meet their intensity. We didn't meet that mentality. Vegas has been here before. And for us, we have to understand that tomorrow night is going to require a different level for us. So, I think we focus on our missed opportunities for execution, but more than anything, the level which we need to play consistently, for us to put ourselves in position for success.
Kind of on that note, is it more about rising to like the intangibles if you're talking about, the physicality, the mentality, and the aggression? Or, I mean, how much are you also, there's the adjustments that you're making too?
I think some of it is. I think some of it's understanding the sense of urgency, understanding, how every possession matters. I mean, 28 points off of turnovers, not good enough. Understanding that you have to be able to withstand, a knock. A punch in the face, you got to be able to withstand that. But their runs can't be as significant as they were. And then the execution piece of it. So compounded, on top of where we just were kind of lethargic and didn't have the energy that's necessary, we didn't execute. And we've got to be able to do both.
How can you guys get the tempo that you had from game one back if it continues to be a physical series?
Yeah, I mean, we got to, again, try to keep them off the free throw line as much as possible. But we missed opportunities on their made shots, too, to get out and run. There were times where we had opportunities to run and we walked the ball at the floor or we dribbled it for 12 seconds, didn't get it moving. So we've got to know and be intentional about the other opportunities that we have that are in front of us that we didn't take advantage of.
How much of that do you feel like is fatigue just at this point of the playoffs?
You ain't got time to be tired at this point.
Can you come in? No, okay, so you know how physical games 1 and 2 have been. Can you start game 3 at a certain level and you have to feel it out, see how it's going to be, and then go from there?
I mean, I think you try to start it at a certain level. I mean, it's been inconsistent, throughout the course of the season. So players are going to adjust. So if it's called tight, then you adjust. And I think it's a little easier to adjust to that than if it's not and it's physical and that's even more fatiguing to your point. But I think at the same time, it's like this is not new, right? It's not new how the games are called. So we have to make sure that we're ready.
When it comes to the inexperience that you're talking about of this group, how do you tap into players like Sid and Tosh who have been here before and have lifted the trophy?
Yeah, I mean, for Sid, unfortunately, it's just got to be communication. And again, like we can tell him about it all we want. You got to go through it. You've got to go through it. And Tosh, same thing. It's like, Tosh has to lead us by example as much as her communication. She's got her multiple levels of effort, her attention to detail. She's got to lead us through it in that way. But Sid, Breezy has been in it a little bit. Shay's been in it a little bit. But there isn't really any substitute for just being thrown into it and understanding the level that it takes.
What does home court mean, Steph, as a coach? And after you have stolen the home court advantage in the first 2 games?
I don't know. I mean, I think it probably meant more as a player to me than it does as a coach. I think we've shown throughout the course of this league that teams can win at home, they can win on the road. It certainly gives us an advantage in terms of the emotion and our players when we hear the crowd, when they hear the crowd. It does give you an added boost. It gives you some adrenaline, no doubt about it. I think the most important thing is you're sleeping in your own bed, right? You're making your own food. You're not eating out all the time. All of those routine things. The way that we're able to use our training room and recover. I think all of those things matter.
When you look back at Kelsey's game 2, I know you mentioned at the time that you thought maybe she's just a little fatigued, but going back through the shots, was it just missing shots you normally make, or are there ways to get her kind of easier looks?
I think a little bit of both. I don't know at this point if there's ways to get her easier looks, just because we're kind of limited. Our floor spacers are sitting on the sideline, so that makes it really tough. But I do think that we can move her around more, and so that she's not always in the same spot on the floor, so that she's getting touches on second and third side of offense as opposed to, first, second, and third option, for us. And that means more movement from everybody else. I felt like one of the things that allowed them to defend her the way that they did was nobody else was cutting. Like our off-ball cutting and our off-ball screening was really good in game 1, and that forced everybody to be engaged on the defensive end of the floor, and we didn't have that in game 2.
Steph, Nancy Leonard passes away. Obviously, the impact she had with the Pacers and de facto the fever probably coming here. But what's the legacy that she has in the city?
I mean, her legacy is unmatched. You think about the history of Nancy and Slick, certainly, and what they've meant to this franchise and what they've meant to the sport and what they've meant from a leadership position, in our community. Certainly a legacy that's well cemented and one that, me being from Indiana, and of course, seeing the banner up there and having been a part of this organization for a long time is really close to my heart.
Hey, Steph, what ways has Wilson become harder to learn through the course of her career?
I mean, she's her will. I think about her will and her competitive fire in much of the same way I think about Tamika's. There's a I will not be denied type of mentality. There are good days and there are bad days, certainly, but the competitive fire and will to win, that's just unmatched. So that first and foremost. I think secondly, just the way that she's been able to move herself around on the floor, running the inverted actions, attacking off the bounce, stretching from the three-point line, being able to get the ball in multiple positions on the floor. That forces you to rethink how you're going to match up and who you're going to match up with. And so she continues to add to her game. She continues to become more efficient and more active, I would say, even with and without the ball in her hands.
Aliyah, do you take more from the positives of game one to the negatives of game two in preparation for this one?
I kind of think you look at both of them. You kind of see the way we played in game one versus how we played in game two and just make sure we're a lot better, obviously, than game two. Don't really get hit and fall down. More just continue to fight and keep ourselves in the game.
Can you start this next one knowing that level of physicality is coming to you and then make that adjustment? I mean, you expect more out of this as the series goes on?
I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about physicality because you don't really know how it's going to be called. Like, it all depends on the call because it can be physical, but then there's every call, or it can be physical and then there's no call. So you really just have to kind of see how it's going to be, and you can't really figure that out until tomorrow. So I guess we'll see together.
How clunky did the offense feel just trying to not turn the ball over and get it inside to you and things like that?
Yeah, it was very choppy. I think a lot of that is our spacing. Like, I think we need to get a lot better spacing, open up the floor a lot for us, and then we can get the ball inside. We can set better ball screens, turn the corner. So I definitely think just us focusing on the offense and just making sure that we're spaced no matter what's happening on that floor is going to be beneficial for tomorrow.
Do you feel like you did anything different against Asia in game one versus game two?
No, not really. I think she had a few more shots in game two, but outside of that, not really.
What do you feel like you guys can do better to then get her off her spots? I mean, she's taking 18, 20 shots every game. Is it even possible to do something like that?
I mean, I think her getting up the amount of shots, that's really going to be up to her. It depends on if she likes them. But I think for us, just continue to be in her space, crowd her space. But also we have to accept that we're professionals. Like, people are going to hit shots. People are going to hit tough shots. So it's about if they hit it, take the ball out and push it on them.
How big of an advantage is it being back here, and how much do you feed off the energy?
Yeah, I think the energy is going to be great. Our fans really showed up, especially when we played Atlanta in game two. So we're pretty excited.
Steph talked about the inexperience of this roster just collectively going through a semifinals, but she talked about Tosh leading by example on the court. How have you seen that out of her or followed that from her?
Yeah, I feel like Tosh has done a great job just being that leader for us the entire season. And so for us, it's just continue to make sure that every time we approach a game, it's approach it ready to win and ready to compete.
Aliyah, is there any pressure now having home court in a series like this?
No. I think there's no pressure. I think going into the game, the best thing is playing free. That's how we've played our best basketball the entire season. And I think it's obviously excited to be here. I think our fans are going to be just super loud, and we're excited to play here. But as of pressure, no.
Aliyah, a few of your teammates and coaches have brought up the Connecticut game where you guys overcame the 21-point deficit as a turning point. What do you remember from that game, both, I guess, on the court, how the game unfolded, but also just the emotions and everything from the locker room?
Yeah, going into halftime, we were down at 21, right? And I think the entire time we just talked about all we have to do is chip away. Get it less than 10 by the fourth quarter. Once we get it less than 10, we're in a good spot. And that's exactly what we did. And that was honestly the constant communication. They went up, we chipped in, they went up, we chipped in, and we just continue to do that. I feel like we've been resilient the entire season, especially with stuff like that and being down in deficits. And that's just what we continue to do.
Does it feel like that kind of embodied just the
100%.
How you guys have been
100%, because not every season's going to be perfect, and especially that Connecticut game. We were down big. Sofa just went down, so emotions were high, and for us it was just about, okay, stay together.
Just going off of that, obviously, the ups and downs of this season, but what has kept you guys so close, or is there something about this team and the camaraderie on it?
Honestly, just the way that we love each other and the way that we want to compete for each other. I think we've been able to just build such great relationships with each other, and so when things get tough, we don't run. We come together and we talk about it and we have discussions, and I feel like that's just helped us so much throughout this entire season.